Sorry if my voice is a little off in this intro and outro. I've been kind of fighting a bug, but it's not in the interview, so that's the good part, right? This player profile, we got to sit down with none other than SaltandPauper, who's been like a pillar in this community. He's coming up on his 1-year YouTube anniversary, so that's pretty exciting. We sit down and talk about getting his pauper community up and running in his local area, how he got started in the game and content creation, his time on Twitch playing some Diablo, and more as we sit down, shuffle up, and play ourselves in this week's player profile.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Salt and Pauper video, and today we are going to take a look at the first place deck from the Pauper Challenge last weekend, which was Walls.
Alright, so today we got none other than SaltandPauper with us. What's up? Thanks for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it. If you would, can you tell the viewers at home or listeners, I don't know what you want to call them really, but a little bit about yourself and what you do on YouTube and with Magic?
Yeah, sure, man. So I'm Chad, otherwise known as Salt of Salt and Pauper. Really, I just try to introduce the Pauper format to as many people as possible. It's one of Magic's most accessible formats, just from sheer cost, and it's one of the biggest and deepest play formats. So even veterans can enjoy playing with nostalgic cards and stuff. So it's a lot of fun, and I feel like not enough people, especially in the United States, because it's really popular overseas, but not so much here, are really kind of introduced to it in a light that's not negative. I think a lot of people have kind of an unfair bias of playing with commons is not playing with powerful cards, and I think that's something I'm really trying to get over.
Yeah, because that's complete BS. Because there's some crazy powerful stuff in the format.
I think a lot of people don't know that cards like Fire Blast and Dark Ritual and Lotus Petal are all commons,
Right. And just the sheer amount of draw power. I think this has more card advantage than any other format. It's crazy the amount of card advantage it's in this game, in this format.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I know you talked a little bit about between us about pauper and paper and stuff. Did you because we talked about how I don't really get stuff firing off where I live and stuff. Have you kind of been trying to bring pauper and paper in your area, and if so, how'd you go about doing that?
Yeah, so I have a history with one of the oldest shops in the area. So it's called Adventures in Comics and Games in Carmichael, and it's actually a really, really old shop. It's given birth to some absolute pros. It's kind of legendary. So Shahar Shenhar and Luis Scott Vargas learned how to play at Adventures in Comics and Games. They're the brick and mortar version of blackborder.com, the original MTG team sponsor way back in the day. That kind of gave birth to LSV and Shahar's professional careers. Maybe not so much Shahar, he played on his own for a while, but definitely LSV and several other pros came from that scene. And Avram Oliver, the owner of the shop, is a huge Pauper fan. Okay. And so he has worked with me over the last couple of years to establish a weekly Pauper night that he pretty fervently supports and advertises, and obviously I do the same. So we've kind of been spending the last couple of years really kind of just through consistency and sheer force of will, no pun intended, to really just make it a thing that happens in the local area. And overall, it's been largely successful. I mean, we regularly have 4+ round events every week, and I kind of solo support them as well. So I advertise it through the channel and through my own personal Discord, and really just push all the locals interested in Pauper to show up.
That's sweet.
And then additionally, I mean, I have a Pauper cube. That's something I'm really, really passionate about. I've been curating it for several years, and I run it every other week at another shop just to like additionally expose. I've also organized a charity event at another local spot for Pauper. So I really just do like everything I can to kind of introduce it to the area and get as many people exposed to it as possible. And it's having effects. I mean, it's taken time, but it's definitely paying off. The community is starting to build, and so that's really exciting.
That's awesome. That's when I talked to Todd Anderson, he said someone at his local has like a battle box, like a bunch of pauper
Mhm.
decks he brings for pauper night, and that's like kind of what I'm doing with like my friend group. Is like I've been like buying a big bulk of pauper and trying to make a bunch of decks. So if someone wants to play or something, it's like they're raring to go.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
I have 18 tier 1 decks built and updated, and I
wow,
carry like anywhere between 14 and 16 of them with me anytime I'm out playing Magic. So I always have decks to lend out to people to give them some experience or to just play against them if they're interested in trying something. But I always lend them out on Armor Tuesday locals.
have you had? I mean, with pauper, it's it's not probably that relevant, but have you ever had? I want that on top. Yeah. Have you ever had any problems with like people like swiping stuff from it, from like your like
Um,
decks or anything?
so that is obviously something I'm present, like I'm aware of, and I make sure that I stay present. But ultimately, no, I've never really had to worry about it. It's something I worry about a little bit more with Cube,
Mm-hmm.
just because it is like a more public setting, um, and it is something that like I'm not always going to be able to watch every match. I mean, I have a 10-player cube, so there's 5 matches happening most of the time on a full night, and it's just one of those things where you kind of have to roll the dice sometimes. And while it would be unfortunate, I've never had it happen. My cube is something I'm a little more worried about just because there's a lot more money in the cube. I have a
Yeah.
very kind of curated cube. I have a lot of signed cards. I have a lot of judge promos and foils that are worth, way more than any other pauper card. I mean, I have single cards in the cube worth more than any pauper deck. Um, and so it's a little bit worrying when you just kind of open that up to the community at large. But as long as you kind of keep the community pretty tight knit, everybody tends to look out for each other. I mean, I've built friendships through pauper locals. Um, just by seeing these people week after week after week, I mean, you start to build a rapport. So, I mean, several of them I've known, I've seen weekly for a year and a half, 2 years. You build a lot of trust.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so even when a couple of new people come in, I don't have too much to worry about because everyone else is looking out for my decks too. I've had some issues with like rough play, cracking sleeves and stuff, but
Yeah.
in general with the decks on like Tuesdays when I lend them out, nothing hugely to worry about.
That's good. That's what I was just kind of wondering, like with the whole lending out and stuff,
Mhm.
if there was any like issues along those lines. I mean, with pauper, most of the time, pauper decks are pretty inexpensive. You're not lending out 4 Ragavans or 4 1 Rings
Yeah.
or something, but just out of curiosity. So like how like when going about like trying to get this like format kind of started and stuff in your area, like how hard I guess was it to like first peak interest, or was it just like, hey, I'm presenting this and people are like, okay.
Well, fortunately, I had a pretty tight Magic friend group already. I was a big Commander player, and before that, I was a limited player. At some point back when DCI ratings were a thing, I was like top 5 in California for playing sealed. So I had a huge like pull in the Magic community locally already.
Okay.
So when I presented them with this idea, I was like, "Hey, all those cards sitting in your bulk bin, I'm gonna run a tournament for those cards." And then once I kind of introduced people to the idea of Pauper and got them brewing with cards that they would normally rule out as unplayable, then you slowly scale up the power towards tier 1 decks where they see what's possible. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people jump on board once they get past that kind of mental barrier of like, but I want to play with my mythics,
Yeah.
that once you strip that away and people see like the depth of gameplay, a lot of people are on board. And I think it's just part of the that mental bias, that misconception that really
Mm-hmm.
that really causes most of the problems, honestly. But it did take some time. I mean, there were lots of locals that I spent, with 2 or 3 people showing up, just playing games and hanging out and testing until people showed up. But ultimately, the most important thing was the consistency. Knowing that 4 people would be there every single week playing Pauper, it gave a lot of people the faith to buy in. Even
Yeah.
if it was only, 30, $40, some people can't afford a whole lot of investment. So that $30, $40 is a big spend to them. And they want to know that they're going to be able to use it when they buy it, especially newer players, because they have to buy a lot of older cards that they're not going to have stashed away in a bulk box somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes a little bit of convincing, which is part of why I like having so many decks like to loan out, just because they don't have to buy in to experience it, and I think that's pretty important.
So when did you first like get into Magic, and like what drew you to the game?
Okay, so this goes back a long way. I'm going to date myself, but my best friend in middle school was a big player of Magic, and my mother was very religious and very against it. And so there was a big, like, no Magic rule for quite a long time. And it took a while for us to come up with a way to kind of usurp that rule and get around those requirements.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, what ended up happening is that we had to figure out that my mother was too proper to make me throw away a gift. And so he very publicly gifted me my first Magic deck after playing with me, like, in the shadows, when I would spend
Mm-hmm.
time at his house and not at my house, all throughout middle school. He very publicly gifted it to me in front of my mom at like a birthday party, so she couldn't make me get rid of it. And then that started kind of familiarizing her with the game, and then all of a sudden those requirements became a little more relaxed. But it was a struggle, but ultimately it was my best friend. His name was Carl. Big shout out to him. He still plays Magic. Still good friends. It's been almost 20 years now. Um, but he got me into it, and then the high school clique kind of cemented me into it. I started meeting a lot of friends through like the Magic after school club. We all hung out at our favorite teacher's classroom after school and played Magic, and that was a big part of me kind of finding my niche in high school. And then it just kind of stayed. At some point, I decided that I wanted to keep going and get better at it, and ultimately it led to me getting into really competitive. I started, like I said, grinding into those sealed events and playing a lot of standard and modern events, and then got into CDH eventually. Since fallen out of love with CDH, but that's more because I dislike the 4-player politics. I would rather just play a 1v1 game. Canadian
Yeah,
Highlander's not bad.
it's kind of like what's kept me out. There's other reasons I'm not a big fan of Commander, but I like Magic more as a one-on-one
Mhm.
player. So how'd you venture into Pauper? Like, how'd you stumble upon this, and like what about Pauper has like really kind of held you in here?
Yeah, so Popper was introduced to me for the very first time at a shop called Metropolis Comics, which doesn't exist anymore, while I was in college. And my roommate at the time was the tournament organizer there. He kind of worked under the table for PAX just to be a rules advisor and stuff for their tournaments in house. And and he played MTGO. I had never played MTGO at that point. And MTGO gave birth to Pauper. It was originally an online format for those that don't already know. And then it spread to paper, which is why the legality of cards is kind of sketchy sometimes, because there are MTGO only common reprints, or were before, that were legal that had never had a common printing in paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because MTGO was the original birthplace of Pauper, so that was the primary source of legality. But um, he came up with the idea of having a Pauper tournament, or a commons only tournament. We didn't even call it Pauper at that point, at this shop, just to gauge interest. And we had a huge turnout, actually, um, of a ton of people who like built decks out of common bins and were really excited about just playing with jank and seeing what
Yeah.
happens. And that was back in the days where like mono black control and like tendrils of corruption was like a tier 1 removal spell. And it ultimately kind of grew into a little bit of a local scene. I mean, a ton of people had a lot of fun in that tournament. It kind of fell off for the majority of the community that tried it at that event, but me and my roommate kept playing. And we kept tinkering with it and just kept exploring it. And then I got into CDH and I kind of fell out of it with Pauper for a little while. And then once I got bored and sold off of CDH, I kind of looked around and there was some interest in Pauper in my area. And then I had the idea for the name of my channel. And shout out to a random guy in Discord that had a salt pun as his Discord name, and it drew a connection for me. And I just had the idea for the name, and then I had the idea for the logo. You can see that right up there. And I actually have a stained glass one my grandma made me behind the camera.
Oh, that's sweet.
But once I had the name for the channel and I had an idea of the branding, I just kind of got to work. I got the logo done up. I designed a whole bunch of custom tokens to give away as like swag for the local tournaments or for like subscriber giveaways and stuff. So I commissioned a bunch of professional art from Michael Katchen on Twitter. Hit him up. He's got them in his profile, and he was fantastic to work with. Awesome dude, and he absolutely knocked it out of the park. So I fell in love with the tokens, and then once kind of everything was in place, I just had to convince myself to start dropping content, and that really kind of cemented me in the Pauper scene. Once I committed myself to just putting out content, even if it was bad, I just needed to start doing it because otherwise I was never going to start. And then here we are. I mean, it really just kind of took me down the rabbit hole, and I'm really happy I kind of made the jump.
So I can say I've noticed like on YouTube, you pretty much, I think your oldest video is only like 11 months old. So like,
yeah, I started consistently posting. I want to say I first started posting in like September of last year.
okay.
And then I started consistently posting when I released my first Pauper set review cycle. Not too long after that, probably end of August, early November. I don't remember the exact dates, but it definitely wasn't very long ago, less than a year.
So you said like before, I want to jump into this here in a second, but you know, when we was getting in here, we was talking about you used to do Twitch and it was non-magic related, but I guess the question I wanted before we get into that is what made you kind of start being more consistent with magic and Pauper related content rather than like other content, and what made you want to start being more consistent?
Yeah, so I was already playing Pauper every week. I was already doing it. You know, I figured that it was just time to start putting it out there for people. Because I really loved the format, but I was kind of stuck behind perfectionism. I was recording like my weekly cube events, and I was like, all right, I'm going to put out these cube coverage events, and I'm going to do it like tongue-in-cheek broadcaster style, and I'm going to have guests that come in and like shoutcast the matches with me, and then we're both going to react live to them and just on playback record our reactions and do it very tongue-in-cheek for like the old Star City Games like weekend tournament coverage with like Marshall Sutcliffe and Brad David Marshall, and try to recreate that feel for like the old Magic fans. And I got really caught up in that idea, and then I needed to get the layout right, and I needed to get the guests lined up, and I needed to record, and you know, and then I needed to learn how to edit, and I'm still learning how to edit. And then eventually I just said, you know, screw it, this is taking too long. I'm never actually going to put out content. So I just got my homie Josh, aka Mayo, on a call in Discord, and I said, yo, let's talk about the cards that are coming out in the next set. And anything you're excited about, anything I'm excited about, let's just go into it and see what happens. And then eventually I just said, all right, well, let's just do that. And then I had it recorded, and I sat there and I was trying to edit it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put it up. And so I just started posting. And once I started posting, I realized that I needed to keep posting or I would stop.
Yeah.
And so I made a commitment. I was like, I'm just going to post every week. I'm going to post every week. I'm going to post on Saturdays because that's when like Google told me the best time to upload was, right? I didn't have any YouTube mentors or anyone to go off of. I was just kind of doing it on my own. And I just made the commitment to myself. And previously when I was streaming, I was streaming 5 days a week like 50 hours a week
Wow.
after working a full-time job. And I just burnt myself out
Yeah,
completely.
I
I
get
ended up
that.
taking a little bit of like a week off that ended up being like a year off, that ended up like losing my entire follower base and having to completely restart. And that demoralized me, so I just kind of stopped, and I never really wanted to go back. I was really just not into it anymore. And
Well, what was you
and
streaming all
that
through that
that led
time?
me to YouTube, and YouTube just ended up being something that I could commit to consistently, like once a week, and that was way more digestible than 5 times a week, and
Hmm.
it led me to a little bit more of a consistent schedule so I could avoid burning out. And I picked a subject, pauper, that I was already highly passionate about because I felt like that was the only way I was going to keep wanting to post.
What was you streaming a lot and stuff on Twitch?
I built my entire stream base over at Azrith on Twitch, AZR1TH for anyone who wants to go look up the VODs. It's old Twitch for sure. Um, but I built it on Diablo.
Okay.
I was a Diablo, and I did a little bit of like Hearthstone streamer battles, but mostly it was Diablo. I built it on Diablo 3. I was a huge Diablo streamer. Um, I was pretty consistent with I was pretty known, I guess I should say, for long streams. We would have like season launch 24 to 36 to 48 hour streams to race like the bot accounts to the NA leaderboards. Me and a
Hmm.
couple of my friends would just stay up the whole time and grind and try to get as high on the leaderboards as we could. And then because we knew once we went to sleep for the first time, the bots would pass us and we'd never get a chance to catch up again. And so that was really what kind of made the stream channel. And I would snipe all of the like looking for game Reddit posts and be like, yo, just come join my party. And then I'm also streaming, so hop in the Discord. And then I slowly just kind of collected this bunch of people that all wanted to play full seasons, but like their friend groups would start a season and then give up after a week or stop playing or get bored after 9 or 10 days. And then there'd be that one person in a group that would be like, but I still want to play. And I would just collect all of them and give them parties and give them a community. And it was a lot of fun. I still love Diablo. I've been playing Diablo 4 a lot since it came out. Um, but it just wasn't something that I could commit that much time to again.
Right. I'll say what I know. Burnout is 100% a thing, but was you trying to like get to that point to where it could be full time?
I had original like ambitions of being a full-time streamer. I thought that maybe it could happen. But I was never able to pass like the partner threshold, and I never got contacted for like sponsor opportunities. And I knew from talking to the people that made real money streaming that I was never going to do it on my own. Sponsors were required for making a living.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never was able to really crack that threshold. And then by the time I feel like I could have, if I'd have done a little more research and I'd been a little more persistent with it, I had started my hiatus and really kind of fallen out of love with it. So it was really hard to get back to that once I had stepped away.
Twitch is kind of cutthroat. Like if you just aren't on Twitch every day, you're kind of just
Yeah.
put behind everybody else, and it's brutal. It's a brutal cutthroat kind of world on that platform, I think, especially compared to like YouTube, where you can like, I'm not saying you can't be consistent on YouTube, but like, I guess there's just the way the algorithm and stuff works, the attention I guess works differently.
Yeah.
But do you think YouTube is
Yeah.
like a more solid platform in the sense of that than something like Twitch was?
I think that people can grow much faster on Twitch than YouTube. I think that a nobody can build an audience very fast with a good gimmick, a niche game, and like the right attitude towards streaming. And I think you can grow very, very fast. Now, obviously, with YouTube Live, you have the option to do it cross-platform before you're a partner or an affiliate, and you can grow both communities simultaneously. And then you can use that to upload VODs and make the YouTube a VOD channel, and then you can grow both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
once you start to build a following on Twitch. And there are several MTGO streamers that do that now. I mean, Max from Snapbolt is a Twitch streamer. He's a huge Pauper player, big influence. Caleb Gannon, another one. Caleb is more of a YouTube entity, and Snapbolt is more of a Twitch streamer that uploads VODs of leagues. But they both grew very, very quickly. Oof, that's brutal. And at the end of the day, I think that Twitch has more like explosive growth potential, but YouTube is a lot more forgiving.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure there are going to be people that disagree with me on that, but I think that overall, you can have a YouTube channel that hasn't posted in a really long time, and you can post a good video, and then all of a sudden that video can gain a lot of traction. The algorithm picks it up. You start getting suggestions. All of a sudden, you start building a following out of nothing. But I think your chances of doing that on Twitch, if you find an unsaturated game, or you have a really good gimmick, or you have a really lucky interaction, your explosive growth potential is so much higher. I mean, we saw that with I don't even know his name, but everybody knows the kid that like threw mini raves with flamethrowers every time he got a kill in Fortnite, right? Like, if you have the right gimmick, if you have the right spark, and you just get stumbled upon by one person of the right pull, all of a sudden you explode. And I just don't think that that's quite the same on YouTube. I think you have to have really good content and really consistent upload habits. You have to know the game, you have to play the game in order for YouTube to really pick you up and for you to explode. And I think Twitch, you can get luckier, I guess, is kind of my personal opinion. There's definitely going to be some comment wars about that one, but
I think I don't know. I guess for me, like with Twitch, I tried the Twitch grind for a while. I didn't just stick with one niche. I just played through video games and stuff, and like I like Twitch is better as a streaming platform than like on YouTube. But like the discoverability of Twitch is so, I don't know if brutal is the right word, but it's a lot harder to find that, I think, than on YouTube. Or I think YouTube's a little bit more, I think it's a little bit more fair in that sense. Because, if you go on Twitch and let's say you go on a Magic the Gathering, if you only have like 2 people watching you, you're on the bottom page, And
yes.
I don't know how many people are going to keep scrolling to find you, as opposed to just being like, well, who are the top players? And then just fall into
That's
that.
absolutely true. That's why I stressed an unsaturated game. If you're at the bottom of a 5-page list, nobody's going to find you.
Yep.
But if there's only 15 people streaming Diablo, and you can get some viewers just out of like Reddit posts or by having the people who you are playing with watching your stream, then all of a sudden you're at second or third from the top under like the one huge streamer for that game that's left. And then that person is now incentivized to raid you because you're number 2 under them. Right. And so you can really kind of game that system because where everybody looks to raid. And so you can maneuver yourself to be in situations or categories that you're not competing with very many people for. And then use those bigger people on the same game or the same niche to really boost your own exposure.
Let me ask you.
And that was really kind of the thing that did it for me. You can't really raid in YouTube, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the thing is like there's certain things like on YouTube doesn't work quite as well as it does on Twitch. Like gift subscriptions versus gift memberships, it's kind of a different pool.
Definitely.
And
especially if you're not a YouTube live streamer. I mean, like gift memberships, like don't do anything if you don't live stream. You know what I mean?
But when it comes to like being on Twitch and kind of doing that grind and stuff like that, how do you think it's something that's, you were saying you're pulling like 50 hours a week? Do you think you have to pull that many hours? Do you think there's any benefit to only streaming? Let's say you can only get in like an hour or 2 a day. Is there any benefit in that, or do you really need to like put in the full-time work mode?
I think from my experience, you need to stream for at least 3 or 4 hours each. I don't think you need to stream 50 hours. I certainly don't think you need to stream 5 days a week like I did, or 6 days a week like I did. I think that's a recipe for burnout, and I just wasn't experienced enough to see that. So I thought that's what I had to do to grow. And while it did grow, it eventually led to me stepping away from the platform. So really was it successful? You have to evaluate the end result. And At the end of the day, I think you need to stream for at least a block of 3 to 4 hours. And the reason is because you need to be there long enough for people to show up late.
Gotcha.
The other thing I think that is really kind of an overlap of YouTube and Twitch is that you need consistency. It doesn't need to be very long, but it needs to be reliable. You need to set a schedule, you need to stick to that schedule so that viewers can put aside that time slot for you and be rewarded for showing up. Because the very first time that they show up to a time block that they separated just for you, they're like, all right, I'm going to tune in, I'm going to game. You know, I've got 3 or 4 hours set aside. We're just going to play some games and have fun. And you don't go live, they're never coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And with YouTube, that's a little different, right? Because you can upload late and people just, you know, won't watch your video right away.
Mm-hmm.
But having a consistent schedule, having a consistent release schedule, for me, it's every Saturday morning, right? So everybody knows they could tune into me Saturday afternoon and my video will be there for them, with rare exceptions for like uploads failing and stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think having a viewership or having a following, knowing where and how to find you is so important. And if you don't give them the tools to find you, they never will. And I think consistency is one of the biggest tools that you can do.
Do you think, like, I guess not do you think, but how hard was it working a full-time job, streaming 50 hours a week, and even now doing committed to once a week? Like, how hard is it to try and balance all that?
It's hard. It's certainly hard. I mean, I have a girlfriend, I have a full-time job. You know, there's definitely a lot of work that goes into kind of balancing all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a struggle sometimes. I definitely make sacrifices to make sure that I am consistent. I mean, I have to record videos when I'm sick. I have to record videos when I don't feel like it. You know, and sometimes I think that comes across in the content. It's really important to be passionate, but I think it's more important to be consistent than it is to be passionate. So I make the sacrifice just to make sure my videos are out every week without fail, and to try to upload. And I think in a month from now, about maybe 2 months from now, I will have done a video a week for the last year, and
Congrats on that.
seen a lot of growth out of it. I mean, honestly, I didn't really have any milestones set. I didn't really have any goals in mind when I started because I didn't really know where I could be.
Mm-hmm.
I gave myself a year when I started YouTube. I said, hey, you know, I don't know if this is going to be worthy of my time, if this is going to be a worthwhile investment, or if I should be doing some other side hustle or focusing on some other passion or some other growth strategy. But I'm going to give myself a year. And then at the end of that year, I'll see how I feel about it. And I think after like 6 months, I was just like, I want to keep doing this. So,
Right
um,
on. Do you think, like, with it being like we talk about, you know, burnout and making videos maybe even when you don't want to, like, do you think like that is like just hard to keep on top of it, especially when we're talking about one game? Like, I guess, how do you like balance, like, how, or fight that burnout when we're just talking about one game?
oh, just content burnout, like running
Yeah,
out of
content
ideas, or
burnout, or running out of ideas, or maybe like trying to keep that passion alive for
sure.
it. You know what I mean?
So at this point, Magic has been, outside of maybe Dungeons and Dragons, my longest standing hobby ever. I mean, I've been playing it for over 20 years. I've been competitive at it for well over 10, probably, maybe even 15 now. It's been a while. Um, and and at the end of the day, like, I know that I'm going to keep playing Magic and paper anyway, just because I love playing Magic and paper.
Mm-hmm.
So the passion for Magic isn't going to die for me. Now, the burnout of MTGO because I get frustrated with the interface, or, you know, something like that, sure, that happens, and I have to fight through that. But um, generally, because I'm playing it every week, regardless of how I feel about MTGO, I can take that same energy and I can put it into my video. So sometimes, you know, I'm not feeling MTGO, I'll make a video about cube updates, or I'll make a video about the next set coming out and do my predictions or my review for the Pauper set review, where I look at every new common card and I talk about whether or not I think they're big enough or impactful enough to matter in Pauper. And I think that there's tons of versatility in having a very specific niche that I focus on, because there are a lot of elements in that niche that you can experiment with. I think a lot of people kind of get trapped into what they're currently already doing
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily what they could be doing. So like they find something that works and then they just stick to that, right? Stick to the playbook. But again, that repetition can lead to burnout, obviously. And I think that in general, um, it's not such a bad idea to experiment. I mean, did my explaining the combo video do very well? No, but I'm glad I tried it. So now I know. Did my cube update review do very well? No, but I'm glad I tried it, right? Did my cube gameplay video do well? Yeah, it did okay. So like, okay, I can experiment with that a little bit more. Maybe we do circle back to that live coverage thing that I was playing with at the very beginning before I started uploading, you know? So there's a lot of versatility, and I like to explore that versatility. And I think that gives me a lot.
When you're making your videos and stuff, if you put one out and it didn't do as well as like you were hoping it would, how do you like, I guess like how do you deal with that? Because I'm sure it's probably like, you know, you put the hours into it, you put the work into it, and it just didn't quite get there, you know? So like, how do you deal with like that kind of, I guess, expectation like setup? You know what I mean? If it didn't reach your expectations.
Sure. Well, I mean, the cool thing about doing this with no real understanding of what needs to be done is that I have no real milestone for choosing like this is going to do this well or this is going to do this well, you know? So I actually have no idea how my videos are going to perform when I upload them. So I'm never really disappointed. I view it all as kind of an experiment. Okay, maybe this one will do well. Maybe this one will do well. And then I kind of just focus on the stuff that does well, and I kind of shrug off the stuff that doesn't, because I never expected to be successful at this in the first place. So it's all just kind of fun for me, and I like seeing the results of the experiment. So I guess I avoid the disappointment of a video not doing well because I don't know any better yet.
Okay.
I would chalk it up to naivety or inexperience, really. I mean, I don't have an expectation built in my mind yet. Maybe in a couple years we revisit and I have an expectation of what certain videos are gonna do, but I don't have that yet.
All right. You want to swap out decks?
Yeah, sure.
We try.
That was not the deck I meant to bring, so
Oh. Where's
that was
this?
actually the very first deck I ever played in a league for YouTube. That's the only full league video I've ever uploaded, was that deck.
Oh, nice.
And it did about that well, so.
How often are you like running through leagues? Because you talk about being
Almost never.
competitive.
Because I'm a paper player and I already dedicate 2 nights a week, it's really difficult for me to find time besides filming for YouTube to just run through leagues for the fun of it. That's why I don't really post challenge videos or challenge results or like trophy picks on Twitter, because I don't have time. I mean,
Yeah.
realistically, I work, until 6 p.m. PST, Monday through Friday. I have a girlfriend, I have a family like that I'm trying to see. I have little brothers I got to spend time with, and then I have a YouTube channel to view for, and then I have to find time for like household chores and eating and sleeping in there somewhere, right? So I don't have time to really go into the full grind on MTGO. I think I will forever be a paper player. Um and at the end of the day, I would love to have time to play some of those. And I'm sure that in the future I'll have time to carve out, some weekends and play a challenge here and there and film it. But uh, I don't really play them very often, if at all. I mean, I've played a few leagues in my time, but nothing substantial. I prioritize my paper play a lot more than I prioritize MTGO.
Do you going on and used to stream and stuff? Have you ever thought about like going back to streaming some too?
Yeah, so I actually recently put out a community poll just to ask. I was like, "Hey, I'm doing gameplay videos. Would you guys want me to stream the gameplay while I'm recording?" And a lot of people said yes. My only real kind of holdback about that is similar to what's happening now. When I'm talking and interfacing and being entertaining to someone, my gameplay suffers.
Yeah.
And I try and while I'm recording for myself and I'm just narrating my thought process, it's a little bit different. Um, but I try to make sure that the feature matches of like my deck techs and the gameplay that I'm providing is as good as I can be. I'm already bad at the MTGO interface, so I don't need additional help being bad at MTGO.
It's definitely a
So
skill to
I'm
like
not sure.
balance.
Yeah, I'm not sure how successful I could be live streaming gameplay. I just think it would end up disappointing people.
Well, have you ever thought
Um,
about like streaming like other games and stuff too, or like are you just
I did a return to Diablo 3 on my original Twitch not too long ago. It was for the last competitive season of Diablo 3 before Diablo 4 released. And some people came through, some people I hadn't seen in a really long time and hadn't chatted with were there, and it was cool to come back, but I just don't really have that same passion for it anymore, I don't think. I mean, I thought about it, I kind of, oh, goblin combo. Okay.
nope?
Mardu goblin combo? What is this? Mardu goblins?
Oh, you'll see.
All right. Goblin combo is like one of my pocket picks for my favorite deck in Pauper. So I see Putrid Goblin, I assume Goblin combo.
No, this is going to be pretty out of left field.
Oh, okay. I'm into left field. Um, yeah, I've thought about it. I just don't really think it's that realistic for me. Um, with the time that I dedicate to YouTube already, and the time that I need to dedicate to just other things in my life, it doesn't leave a ton of time for streaming anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate to have the chance to stream 40, 50 hours a week when I was trying to make it on Twitch the first time. And I just don't think that that upside and the time is available to me anymore.
I get that. I mean, definitely, you know, your time kind of dissipates as you get older. That's for sure. I gotta remember how to do this. There's
What
a
in the world am I playing against?
so we're mutating here.
Mutate.
Yep.
Okay.
Um.
Interesting. This is
Over.
this is some left field jank. I love it.
Yeah. So this one spawned from my Discord community.
Okay.
Um.
Does that double persist?
Yeah. They both come back if it dies.
That's wild. Okay.
I mean,
So I'm
Journey
guessing
to
you're gonna
Nowhere hurts,
sacrifice it. Yeah. Well, fortunately, this deck doesn't run Journey in the main board, so.
that is fortunate. Um. No, there's like Migratory Greathorn and Volbekeet, or how you say its name, or the two migrate creatures, and
Uh-huh.
I was gone from I took a break from Magic, because I've mentioned to you my local community pretty much drying up on it, and
Yeah.
when I decided to come back, Mutate was one of them that I missed, and so when I first heard these Mutate cards, I'm like, I don't even know what this does. Like I don't even know how this works. But yeah, it's definitely like with Magic when you're talking about when you make your videos and stuff. Are you doing live commentary while you play, or are you doing a playback video and then doing commentary over top of that?
I'm doing live commentary while I play. So
Okay.
while when I get quiet or go into the tank, I mean you can see it in the videos. That's real. Those are real misplays that I am outright missing. Right? And yeah, it's a lot sometimes, but I'm getting better at it. I was always good at self-narrating just from learning how to do it for stream.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's still a little bit weird to try focusing on a game while I narrate. Obviously, I can't do that when I play in person, right? So I don't really have any practice outside of recording for YouTube. Narrating for my opponent what my game plan is in paper feels like a pretty easy way to lose. But yeah, it's not too difficult to narrate, but those are live commentaries. I don't do the like the mill guy does the recap. He like does an accelerated playback and narrates a whole league in like 30 minutes. No, I run them in real time, so I'm narrating in real time for the gameplay.
That's David Royale, Saitama, if you know his channel.
Yep. Mhm.
He scripts everything. and like his
He
editing
what?
process, he scripts everything.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he goes through and cuts everything. He's talked to me about it before, and like the amount of like hours he takes into the editing his videos. I mean, really hats off to him.
It's
Um,
yeah. No, I mean his videos look incredible. So I mean I can see the reward for sure.
play you, but yeah, I don't know. For me, it just feels more natural just to stream it, and then I'll focus my
Mhm.
time eventually on other things when it comes to like video editing. But I'm
All right,
like,
I'm doing what Andrea tells us never to do, which is brainstorm at end of turn here, but it's gonna happen. So hold on. I don't know if you saw that, but he posted a video yesterday about how to
yeah,
brainstorm.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen it pop up in my subscription feed.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, it's the correct way to do it, which is funny because I've been telling people that brainstorm end of turn is incorrect for years, but nobody believes me.
So with playing a lot in paper, you said you got like into the competitive side. Have you gotten any like what like have you put up any like tournament results?
I top eighted a couple of GPs, but that was it. Never anything huge. I got to play in some team events and did really well. Actually, at this event in Las Vegas in 2015, the original Magic Fest, back when first Modern Masters was released.
Yep.
I won the two-headed giant main event with a good friend of mine. His name was Matt. We took down the two-headed giant event that was massive, and that was a lot of fun. But no huge like tournament finishes.
I think top
My
aiding a couple
main
GPs is
skill,
pretty huge.
yeah, sure. Uh, I mean, don't get me wrong. It was an achievement. It was just never. It was always a little bit of a letdown, you know.
Yeah. To get that far and not take it out.
Um, yeah, funny enough, I've like it's I don't know. It was I was only ever good at the sealed part. The constructed part was always questionable. I mean, if I had a good deck, I had a good deck, but I was never that good at playing the constructed metagame. I was good at anti-meta brewing. I was always good at like the brewing portion of it.
Hmm.
I was good at the theory crafting. That's why I like talking about the set reviews and those kind of things. Um,
Well, then you also had the
but
videos on like how to take
ultimately,
down like
I
meta
was
decks
always
too.
best at sealed for sure.
You know, you also have the
And
videos on your channel where you're talking about how to take out some of the meta decks. You know,
mhm.
how to like deal with them and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where the Beat the Meta series came from. Actually, was tying on to the fact that that was kind of my unique take on the metagame in the first place. And it's something that I've kind of gotten away from. And we talked about my battle box that I keep handy for players to borrow and to experience Pauper. I mean, I don't have a ton of time to dedicate to maintaining that. So they're not brews. Like I don't have time to sit there and retool every brew for every new set. I just
yeah.
don't. Um, so a lot of that is simply net decks, and so I'd kind of gotten away from my brewing roots, admittedly, and it took me a little while to get kind of back to them.
I've asked a lot of people this, and I'll ask you this too. Do you think Pauper's right now in a format where a lot of brewing can happen?
No, I don't. Now that's not to say that I don't think the format is in a good place. I do. Um, but I don't think that brews are hugely successful right now. The format is very efficient. The format is very fast. The format is very restrictive to like hyper playable efficient draw mechanics and hyper efficient playable removal. Um, and while you can play in those lines, right,
Hmm.
if you understand what the majority of decks are doing, it gives you a really defined set of rules to try to play within and break. But I feel like Popper's rules are very strict, and it's really hard to come up with brews that are genuinely good against the metagame. I've spent a lot of time, in fact, on my Moxfield. Anyone who follows me on Moxfield sees a list right now that is underway that I've been trying to make a thing for a very long time. And when I saw the downshifts from Commander Masters, I said, okay, this is our time. And now I've been banging my head into the wall for like a week, and I still can't make it work. So
No.
it's and it's difficult. But I think that when you find the right angle, a lot of the time it solves the problem. I can identify a deck and beat a deck, but trying to beat the whole metagame is very difficult.
Yeah. Do you think Pauper's got a healthy meta? Because it feels like that's a volatile yes or no. As if
I think that anyone that says no plays MTGO, and anyone that says yes plays paper. I think it's very different between the two because MTGO has league grinders, and league grinders are very incentivized to play hyper optimized, hyper efficient decks that have positive win rates so that they can turn money,
Mhm.
right? And that leads to a lot of leagues simply being dominated by Ponza and by red because it's easy to double queue. It's easy even to triple queue with mono red and Ponza. They're F6 decks most of the time. They're very tap outy. They're very just go in. They're very fast. They're very efficient. And so I think a lot of the time it's very incentivized for those leagues to be very repetitive, to feel very muddled down. Um, and in general, I think that if you play paper, you have a very different experience because the paper metagame, while obviously the same decks are still good, decks that don't really stand much of a competitive chance in MTGO combo decks specifically, things like Infinite Life, like Familiars, like Combotron, like this deck that I'm playing,
Mhm.
which is Ka combo.
Yeah, I just watched your video on this
Don't
the
have
other
a
day.
huge way to win the game in MTGO without your opponent agreeing that you've won the game.
Mhm.
And in paper, you just say, okay, I've got 18 trillion life, do something about it, right? Once you demonstrate the loop, there's a shortcut. And without that shortcut being able to be added into the MTGO gameplay, it's very difficult for combo decks to assert dominance. And so you see a lot of players staying away from them. And I feel like in paper, that's not necessarily the case.
That's like Altertron. I hear about how great like that deck is, and I think Satan Raken or Kalikaz is like the only person like actually playing it on Magic Online.
Yep, it's because he's one of the only people that has the click speed to actually do it.
Do you think like there are obviously that's a good example, but do you think there are decks that in paper you just can't play on Magic Online? Like there's just not like no shot in the dark for it to actually like work very well on Magic Online.
Hmm. Yeah, probably. I think that time is definitely the enemy of combo decks in this type of constraint or this type of platform. And so it's really difficult for combo decks to really do their thing when you're just
Hmm.
racing a personal clock. Now, do I think the clock should be implemented in paper? Yes. But I like the fact that in paper you can shortcut loops. And I wish that in order to combat the clock for combo decks in this format, they instigated some sort of loop or macro or shortcut where you can demonstrate a loop and then just click a button to repeat it.
Hmm. So I actually
I
had a
understand why that's not possible just from a gameplay perspective. They have to continuously allow the opponent
mhm.
every like passive priorities for interaction, but I just think that it's very annoying.
So I personally I like the chess clock on Magic Online, but I actually just talked to a
3, 5,
judge
6, 7, 8, 9.
last weekend about this same topic when I was at that Apex tournament, and he actually made a pretty interesting comment, which is that in order to do so, like have an actual chess clock, he said like some players want, he said you
Mhm.
would have to players would actually have to learn every single stack, and they would have to hit that clock every single time. He said like Magic Online
Yeah,
does it for you. He goes, but I
yes.
actually do it in paper. He goes, nobody would be able to finish a game, and he said the
Yeah,
games would
no,
just take
nobody would be able to keep up with
forever.
the clock. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I don't think that an actual chess clock is the answer. I think that perhaps a turn time limit is the answer.
that'd
Just
be
you
interesting.
spend the time on your turn as much as you want. Um, or like, you take out the response time from your overall turn limit. I don't know how you balance it, right? I think there's definitely a conversation to have there. But it would be nice. I think that there's definitely some way to do it that we haven't explored yet. Um, I don't think that paper needs it by any means. I just think that the people that call for it, in paper, it makes more sense than on MTGO, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you definitely run into those, at least I think, some people who kind of, twiddle their thumbs waiting for the, maybe I can get a draw in because I'm not going to have the win here or something.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, so I should have infinite life here. I'm going to make sure I can get there, but... what just happened?
It says you're paying costs on my end.
Yeah, I thought that I had paid the cost, but it wants one more. That's okay. Oh, I can't afford it. Okay, I don't have infinite life here. That's unfortunate. How do I do this instead then? I think I have to just block out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Let's do it like this.
So yeah, I watched your video on this. This deck is really cool.
It is. It's super cool, but it is something that you have to watch the clock for, and talking has definitely eaten a lot of it.
Yeah, there's like certain decks I won't play when I'm doing this, like when I'm doing these like interviews, just because I can't do both. Like I won't play Tortured Existence anymore because I got to focus too much on like what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And
for
it's
sure.
just, yeah, it's too hard to like to do it both. I was actually playing the Undying version of this deck against Todd Anderson, and as I was talking to him, I thought I had a Mutate card in my hand, and it was actually Journey to Nowhere. So I Journey to
nice.
Nowhere my own card, and I was like, oh, well, I guess there's that then.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
Nope. All right. And imagine... What was that?
All right, am I dead?
No, I don't have any way to pump, so I think you're gonna get this.
All right, so I have infinite life now. I have the 3 cards in hand. I was short a mana after
Yeah.
after having to pay the 3 for transmute last time.
Do I even have... I don't even know what I have in this deck. Alright, so yeah, I got no way to instant speed interact with that.
I have the counterspell to protect anyway.
Oh, okay. I'll scoop into that. I won't make you click through everything.
Here, I can I reveal my hand?
I went into sideboard. I don't think I can see.
Oh, okay.
I believe you.
I was gonna show the combo to the audience just in case.
Yeah, if anybody's not seen this combo, definitely check out Salt and Pauper's video because it is pretty sweet.
So what's funny is actually, so I feature a lot of decks, and I just kind of peruse random tournament results to find cool decks to showcase. And Imvani, the actual creator of this deck, found me on Twitter like an hour after this video went live, and was just like, "Yo, thanks so much." And I got to talk to him about the different variations of like combo Kagates and what he thought about him. So shout out to Imvani again. He's really cool.
Yeah.
We were chatting up yesterday about it.
It's pretty cool list, pretty cool like interaction piece, because basically you're just like you shore up the game and it's like, well, now I can just kill you with Basilisk Gates over the next few turns. It's pretty cool.
What's actually funny is we were talking about what got me into Magic. The deck that Carl gifted me for my birthday was Cleric combo with Daru Spiritualist.
Okay.
And like Glow Riders, and
So,
back in the day for like Onslaught Legion Cleric deck. That's what I had was Cleric combo with Daru Spiritualist. So returning to this deck this week is very funny.
yeah, 20 some years later, it's back full circle.
Right, exactly. And I get to play with those same cards, which is some of the fun part of Pauper. Is you get to play with these nostalgic cards. All these OG Magic fans get to bring out a bunch of cards they never thought they'd get to see again, right? And that's part of what I love about it.
See, that's what's kind of pulling me in a little bit to Pioneer. Is those
Sure.
there's a lot of cards there that when I was real heavy into the game was like I played a lot of standard when I was first getting into the game and was real heavy into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like starting block is right around the time. It's a little bit after when we started playing. So there's a ton in the format that, we played all through standard and everything like that. So, to see those cards again being able to be played is like, ooh, this is kind of cool.
Right.
But I'm still pauper at heart because I don't know. There's something about playing just with commons, the price point, and just some of the power levels you can do in pauper just really, I don't know. There's something about it. I love this format.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think that like 90% of the time when I ask people if they want to like play some Pauper, their response is like, "No, I like playing with good cards." And then 5 minutes into a game, after I just like get them to finally sit down and play a game, they're like, "Yo, this is crazy." I'm like, "I know."
I've been trying to tell you this whole time.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of misconceptions that need to be addressed in the Pauper format. I just think it has a bad PR. Like I don't know how it got a bad PR, but it does.
Yeah. I think it's because people spend so much money getting the rares and the mythics and, you know, putting down payments to get a legacy deck and stuff or a modern deck. And then now we're playing a format that is like, $60 for a paper deck. I feel
Sure.
like that's probably part of it, being like,
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a sunk cost fallacy. Like I've already
yeah,
spent $3,000 on this commander deck. I can't play a $50 format.
right.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I have my own opinions of Commander. I acknowledge that it's the most popular format, but I disagree that it should be anyone's first format.
That
I
makes
my
sense.
my thoughts on EDH put concisely, and I was a huge EDH fan, so don't come at me in the comments. I played CEDH. I had Thrasios, Tymna, Flash Hulk deck. I had a couple of casual commander decks. I played tons of commander. Right, my very first deck was Rafik. I built it out of a 75-cent common bin. All right, like I remember when Commander was EDH and it was brand new, and I played it all the way up until they like unbanned and rebanned Protean Hulk and Flash, or they unbanned Protean Hulk and then banned Flash, or one of the two. I don't remember. Um, but I think that if you know how to play Magic, if you learn how to play Magic in any other format, sealed, draft, constructed, whatever, you can learn to play EDH. You know how to play the game. It's just the deck building constriction that's different. But if you learn how to play EDH first, if EDH is your first iteration of Magic, you do not know how to play Magic. You know how to play Commander. And that's the problem for me, is that Magic as a format has always been universally compatible. If you learn how to play Magic, you can play any format in Magic. Commander is the only format that is not universally compatible with the rest of Magic. And that
True.
is a huge problem with the health of the game for me because it is the most popular format. It is most people's entry level Magic. And I just, that inherently is bad for every format that isn't Commander. And that's a problem.
Yeah, I don't, Commander's never been my thing. I'm not like I like the consistency. I like the 60 card deck. I like having my play sets of them, and I like Magic as a one-on-one, and Commander just doesn't do any of that. So it's just not
I
my
think Commander's a
my
great
thing.
format, and I love that it's getting so many people into the game. But I think that they should learn to play a regular Magic format before they learn to play Commander. I think that introducing people to Commander is a dangerous precedent because it makes them afraid for the learning gap of learning any other format. So they
Hmm.
stay in Commander. They don't ever branch out. If they learn a regular Magic format, you can branch out to Commander without a fear of a learning curve. You've already learned. And it sets this barrier of entry to the rest of Magic formats that I just disagree with. I think that a lot of people get kind of bookended into Commander only because that's all they know, that's all they're familiar with, it's all they've ever learned. And that inherently is bad for every other format. And it's a shame that that's the format that's most popular because otherwise it does great things. It's accessible, it lets people play with tons of different cards, it adds a level of community building for 4-player games. Like it does a lot of good things. but it doesn't teach you how to play the other formats, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I can definitely agree to that. If somebody was wanting to get into Magic, what do you think you would do to get them like into it, like to learn? And...
I would invite him to Cube.
Cube?
Absolutely. Cube, in my opinion, is the best way to learn how to play Magic. And not any cube, all right? If you go to a vintage cube, you're going to be in way over your head.
Yeah.
You don't know the combos, you don't know the cards. You need to learn the spoiler for any vintage cube before you ever draft it, because you don't know what's available. You don't know what to play around. But at the end of the day, like my cube specifically is a pauper cube that is curated just to allow people. Yeah, doing it again. Sorry, Mangu. That is curated just to be all English, no textless cards. While they are pretty, they're signed, they're foiled, they're alternate arts, they're judge promos, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is set up to be, at the end of the day, a cube that is intuitive and easy to learn. If you are familiar with the concepts of Magic, you could play my cube blind and build a good deck. And I actually use it. I volunteer for some after school programs locally to like teach people, kids who want to learn how to play Magic, to play Magic. I mean, obviously they've got like the starter decks, and so they have the basic concepts of like mana taps and you play creatures and creatures can attack and stuff. They have that down, but the kids that want to go deeper into it, the kids that want to learn more, I teach with the cube.
Okay.
And I think that anyone trying to get better at Magic, there are several things that Cube teaches you that other formats might not teach you. One, you can't net deck a cube, so you have to learn card evaluation. You have to learn deck building skills. You have to learn card evaluation during the draft. You can't net deck the draft, and it's a solo decision, so you can't like look up online what other people have done. It gives you experience of a lot of cards in a very short iteration. It's free, so there's literally no investment. There's no paywall. And a lot of the time, it's a good way to meet some of the more invested players in your area, which are ultimately the players that are going to be able to teach you in the most welcoming way, because they have the most experience in the game. Not every experienced player is going to be a good teacher, but a lot of the people that have bought into the game, that have been playing it for several years, are going to be good teachers. And those are the people that in general you should be learning from anyway. So if somebody's trying to get into Magic, I would tell you to go to every LGS in your area and look for somebody hosting a Cube Night, and go to the Cube Night and learn and ask questions and sit down and be prepared to lose. It's going to be bad the first time you play it. An unknown cube is very difficult to draft blind. But overall, it will be an incredible learning experience. And that's the way to learn Magic.
Me, I've always been a big fan of, and I don't know if they still make them. I can't imagine they quit making them, but maybe. I always liked the 2-player decks, where it was like you bought the one thing. Decks? Yeah, and there was 2 decks to play. I don't know. For me, that was always like really fun Magic to play. And I always felt like those were like solid ways to like learn, because, you know, it's not overly powerful. There's, you know, you kind of learn certain interactions and things like that. That's what kind of what we started off playing. Instead of just throwing someone head over, you know, into like, here, let's go play Modern or something, you know?
Yeah.
We got the Inside Out. So, I gotta ask with this deck, what is like the benefit of sideboarding out the Infinite Life for the Inside Out?
So initially in my deck evaluation, I called it ambitious. I still think it's pretty ambitious. I just haven't made any adjustments to the deck since I recorded it. But the way that it was explained to me when I talked to the deck builder and when I talked to some other people who have experience with similar versions of this combo deck is that once you reveal the combo, your opponent can have things to do about it. And what ultimately was the linchpin is that this is an MTGO version of this deck. The idea is that you have enough time to do the combo for Infinite Life once. You don't have enough time to do it a second time. So the idea is you do it the first time, you show them that you have Infinite Life, and you beat them down with gates. But after that, your time is going to be really, really low, and you're going to have to one-turn kill them.
Oh,
and so the Inside Out version is the one-turn kill version, so that you can actually win matches instead of just games on MTGO.
Gotcha. Okay. So what's like the paper
Which
version
I thought was a really
like?
interesting point. It's one of those things that you kind of have to adapt to on MTGO specifically, you know.
Then what's like kind of the paper version look like? Are they just leaning into
The
the
paper
infinite
version
life?
just has more sideboard slots.
Okay.
I mean,
So
at the end of the day,
they're
that's
siding
the
out.
only real difference.
So they're taking out of the sideboard the inside out stuff and having more relevant sideboard pieces then?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because the infinite life is good enough in paper. You don't have a clock to worry about. And
Right.
most people will just scoop to infinite life if they don't have an infinite damage source. At this point, I just need a blocker. I've missed too many land drops. I just need a blocker. Oof.
Right, this is
all
gonna
right.
be
Well,
risky.
that's good enough. I missed too many land drops. I actually have the combo to kill you in hand, but I couldn't get Dara Spiritualist down to be attack worthy at any point. Am I dead? No.
No.
Okay. Not dead yet, at least. Am I dead? No, I'm not dead.
Nope,
Okay,
got
we
you
like
down to
one life.
Might just be one way. I was trying to figure out
unless you have a response to
I have no response
to the combo.
All right, so we should
I've
probably.
got it.
I guess if nobody's seen this, let's
I'll
run
show
through
it.
this.
So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna activate this Nomad Ilkor, which says 0 mana. The next 1 damage that would be dealt to nomads is dealt to target creature instead. I'm gonna target Daru Spiritualist with that effect to redirect the damage. Daru Spiritualist is a cleric. And it says whenever a cleric creature you control becomes the target of a spell ability, it gets +0/+2. So it boosts its toughness by 2 for every instance. And so I'm going to do that a bunch of times. And I'm going to boost Daru Spiritualist. What is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So that it has a bunch of toughness. No, that's not enough. What am I doing? There we go. 23, 25, 25. And then I'm going to sacrifice this Wedding Invitation to make Daru Spiritualist unblockable. I'm going to attack with Daru Spiritualist, and then before damage is dealt, I'm going to inside out it to flip its power and toughness so that it deals 27 damage. And you're just doing it at instant speed so that they... I mean, really, the idea is just to try to get them to do their responses before you show them the kill, but...
Yeah. So that's interesting that it's like a sideboard, because I saw where you're talking about having the other combo in the sideboard, and I guess I just never picked up on that it's like for Magic Online to switch in and out so you can like...
It's for time, and you can see how low my clock is, right? I drew it out, I did the infinite life game the first, but I would not have had time to draw it out again.
Yep. And then you just get me with the 29-1.
Yep.
Nice.
So I just get you with the 1 turn on the game 2 and save, and that way I don't lose the match on time. It's really smart. It's just only required because of the clock.
Yeah.
So you free up like 6 sideboard slots just to not play this on MTGO.
I'm gonna try this deck. This is like probably my favorite card from Commander Masters. I just don't know how viable this idea is. But I'll give it a run.
I'm going to play my favorite paper deck.
Okay. I'll be interested to see it.
This is a shout out to 2 of my favorite Pauper creators, because this is my absolute favorite deck to play in paper. Ooh, and I get to be on the play? Yeah, I'm into this. No problem.
This is not the best. Do I keep this or I mulligan this? I'm gonna keep this, probably regretfully. We'll see. No, this is like an idea that when I was looking at the cards that was coming out Commander Masters, it's Crash of the Rhino Beetles. That
Oh, okay.
yeah, that was a card that was just
Wild
like,
card.
yeah, this just looks amazing. So I've been trying to work on like trying to make it like kind of playable. I haven't made any tweaks to the deck since I ran it through the stream.
I will say I ruled that deck out almost immediately upon seeing it, or that card out almost immediately upon seeing it.
I
was like,
don't
there's
know. I
zero
like it too
chance this
much.
card's good.
I like it too much.
So if I lose to it, it'll be a real foot in the mouth moment.
I mean, it's a rare, you know, being downshifted, but
Well,
yeah.
so was the 8/7 Flying Sphinx for 7, but I don't see you trying to put that in a deck.
It doesn't become a 15/15 insect. You know what I mean?
Neither does the Beatles when it gets countered.
Yeah, true. You got to play around the beetle. Is this Jeskai Ephemerate that we got going on here?
It is not Jeskai Ephemerate.
Okay, I'm curious then. Do you think the artifact lands are like a problem?
I think the bridges are a problem. I don't think the untapped ones are. I think that my initial assessment of the situation early on when they banned a Tog was to not ban a Tog and to ban the bridges instead. I think that if you return Affinity to its original like aggressive status, where it's weak to Gorilla Shaman and it's a tier 2 deck basically,
Mm-hmm.
Affinity no longer becomes a problem. I think that Affinity's largest holdbacks were one, the ease of sideboard tech against them because anything can destroy an artifact, and two, it had color inconsistency because it had no dual lands. And to fix both of those problems with the same land base became a huge problem. It was too consistent and it has a lot of resiliency and it's able to take games late and then it can just shoot you out with makeshift munitions. Beforehand, it couldn't do that. It would get blown out by any artifact removal far too fast for it to try to take games late, and it was too hateable. And I think that it's a bit of a problem, but ultimately, I think that the bridges are more of a problem than the regular artifact lands are.
Is it just because of their indestructible and mana fixing?
Yes, indestructible is a huge problem. Now, granted, I love playing with Kenku Artificer. I think the card's great. I think that the interaction with Cleansing Wildfire is fantastic. But I disagree with the PFP saying that the interaction of Cleansing Wildfire and the bridges and Kenku Artificer is worth the format warping power of the indestructible bridges. I just don't think that that's true.
Gotcha.
I actually wrote Gavin Verhey like an essay basically about what I think would be the correct solutions when he opened his personal inbox to suggestions when the PFP was first formed.
Yeah.
Some of them they listened to me on, but obviously the bridges they disagreed with. I did suggest dealing with Tron through addressing its color fixing through Bonder's Ornament and Prophetic Prism. They listened to that almost word for word. I disagreed with the Expedition map ban, but they ended up reversing that change anyway, so...
Yeah, get that, I guess. I'm trying to figure out like how to play cards. It's so yeah, the hardest part is the getting to 10 mana, like the 10 lands.
Oh, definitely.
That is like brutal.
Are you running like Satyr Wayfinder or any of the like mill myself get a land back?
No, it's like the full suite of like the Cleansing Wildfire, Geomancers, Gambits, and then just a bunch of the Cyclers. Pretty
I
much.
think you'd probably be pretty well served with the like self mill get a land back cards. Because then if you mill your creature, you can get your Rhino Beetles back with like Grizzly Salvage or something.
Yeah, that's true.
And it gives you a much bigger card base than just trying to rip cards or lands out of your hand.
That is true.
All right, I'm going to draw a card, and then I'm going to discard a card. Pulse. Yeah, sure. Pulsing an Ent so you can recycle it. That's wild.
Nope. I'm going to play it.
Oh, okay. Go for it. I want to discard this guy.
Actually, do I want to play it now?
Excellent question. Surprised I didn't hit a land drop there. I had several tries at that card through Overseer and the draw for my turn, but
Yeah, I think I'm just going to cast this instead.
fair enough. Draw 3 cards is pretty good. Lorien Revealed is a hell of a card, man.
Yeah, it's seeing play everywhere. That's what I was playing. I went to that Apex Gaming tournament playing Modern, and I was like seeing Trolls of Khazad-dûm, and I'm like,
Yep.
okay, cool. It's like I didn't know I had to worry about that here, but I guess I have to.
And people say Pauper is not powerful enough.
Right?
You're playing our staples. We gave you these.
Ooh, late to dinner.
Now you're going to see what this deck does.
Yeah. Okay. Jeskai Reanimator?
It's not Jeskai. The blue-red bridges are just red bridges for Cleansing Wildfire. This is Boros Ephemerate, and it's actually
Oh,
Hyzen's version of Snapbolt's original brew.
Okay. Interesting. A lot of big cards.
Not necessarily. I just have a very awkward draw. But, I mean, we take it, I guess.
Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I guess I should get rid of this. I don't really need it in this matchup. Oh well. I'll discard the land here. So yeah, this is my favorite paper list. I've been playing this list since Snapbolt posted about it, and when Hyzen took it to his local tournament and did really well with it, I really liked his variation of this deck. So I've stuck with that list. I have a slight variation of it for my local metagame, but it's pretty much the same list, and I've loved it ever since I saw it. This deck is absolutely great.
Yeah, well, I mean, Palace Sentinels, Goliath Paladin, like, what more could you,
Oh, you'll see what more you could ask for.
I guess, yeah. All right.
The best part of
Pass.
this is I can let you play your Rhino Beetles and not care.
Okay, that's scary. I'm almost to 10 lands, though, so I've been able to kind of do the thing.
Yep.
Kinda.
Yeah, you're getting close.
Yeah, it's like when I first streamed this, I was like, maybe this card is like not going to be playable at all, but like it feels like it should be, but maybe not.
I have thoughts, but
Like anticipation, waiting to see what you play. Okay, Elementalist.
really this is just a value play. I just want to draw more cards.
So I'm actually thinking about putting Fling into the deck, too.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
Or Ram Through was another one
Mhm.
a lot of people
Mhm,
suggested.
Sure. I can see that.
I will take
Start
this
the beat
5.
down. All right, that's fine. Yeah, I'm amazed I haven't seen any of my combo pieces yet after so many cards with the Monarch. But we're just
So yeah, I'm curious to see what the
not.
combo here is. I mean, Elementalist is probably part of it, I would assume.
Yeah.
Two,
It's not
three.
a hard combo to imagine. Once you see like a second piece of it, you'll be like, oh. And then it will
Cascade and
all
some.
become clear. Boarding party, sure, why not? What do we got? Oh, Geomancer's Gambit. Yeah, might as well. Your overpriced Cleansing Wildfire is good here.
And just to have all the mana. One,
Yeah,
two,
why
three,
not?
four,
You want
five.
to attack into my 5/8? Go for it.
No. I'm just gonna
You
show the
sure? You
thing.
sure you don't want the crown? Okay. Sure.
Well, it's a 15/15 at least.
It
You know.
is a 15/15. That's true. And I have not drawn any of the pieces I need to draw for that not to be relevant. So we're getting somewhere. I don't want to go to creature. I guess I could. Yeah, no, we're just gonna trap.
Have you ever
Go to
thought
17.
since you know, talk about like magic stuff, you lean heavier into paper. Have you ever thought about doing like paper content over Magic Online
Um,
content?
yes. The only real reason I use MTGO content is just because it's easier to film. It just is.
True.
Um,
5 mana. Okay, another paladin.
I need enough butts to eat 15 damage. Mm-hmm. Give me my card. That's not the card I'm looking for, but it might get me closer.
Yeah, I'm curious
I
what
think
this
I
infinite
won't attack
combo.
into your 15/15.
Why not?
That seems fine. Nah, that's okay. Yeah, I don't need to. It's fine. I'm not sure about that one. I think I'm just gonna draw another card.
Well, I did the 15/15 thing, so
Oh my
I'm happy.
gosh, where are they? Halfway into my deck, I haven't seen either of my other two 4-ofs.
I was playing David Royale the other day. We was doing a stream together, and I was playing Affinity because he was testing stuff for his deck, and I was playing Affinity, and I was in like the bottom 20 cards before I finally drew one of the 4 of all that glitters. I was like, there it is.
Fair enough. Yeah,
All right.
still no dice. So this is getting dicey for sure. Fortunately,
Let's
Big Butt Paladin over here can absorb a lot, so
start with
we should be all
this.
right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Okay,
9. We have 9 mana.
unfortunate but fine.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Yeah.
Another Rhino Beetle. Oh, okay, that's fine.
Maybe. It could be another Rhino Beetle.
That's
Yeah, it's
true. It
Pulse and
could be.
Marassa. Grab boarding party.
Seems fine. Pulse and Marassa is a really cool addition to this deck. I think that card should be played in more lists.
I
Fortunately, green is just such a bad color in Magic right now.
right. I love it. It's one of my favorites.
All right, do I want to get crazy here? Because I could just like almost take all of it.
Do it. Live on the wild side.
Okay. I think we just want to do this. And then you can have the Monarch. I really need to get to my pieces here. Fortunately, you just helped me do that, so
I did?
yeah.
Oh boy. How? That's what I'm like thinking in my head. It's like, how did I help?
You killed one of my paladins, which makes me able to replay it thanks to Late to Dinner.
Oh. Gotcha. All right.
Yep, you get a card. All right, come on. Combo. Where are my pieces? What's going on here? Don't let me down now, deck. I hyped you up for so long. I was like, Rhino Beetle. I don't care about stinking Rhino Beetles. All right, okay, we're in business. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. How do I do this though? How many cards left in deck? 30. Ooh, I could take a really big gamble here. Do we go for it?
Oh,
Do we go
obviously.
for it?
Always go for it.
Or
Always gamble it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, I kind of want to. Because man, that's such a risk. All right, we're gonna do it just for the content, just for the content.
Do it
So
for the vine.
you can, if it works, it's gonna be legendary. If it doesn't work, it's gonna be really awkward.
Okay.
We're gonna Ardent Elementalist our Late for Dinner. Then we're gonna Late for Dinner our Goliath Paladin to trigger Throne, and we're gonna flip 10 cards, and we're gonna hit our second Stonehorn Dignitary.
Ooh.
Ready
Stonehorn
for this?
lockout, huh?
This is the line. Yeah, it's a Stonehorn lock. It could also be a Prismatic Strands lock, but for some reason I haven't seen any of them. Yep. Yep. What is going on? Okay. Magic was freaking out on me for a second. And the reason that this is a gamble is because I no longer have 2 Stonehorns in deck. I drew one.
Oh.
The original line was to do this, but I had 2 Stonehorns in 30 cards. Now I have 1.
Okay, so how do you loop though with the Stonehorn? Just by having
Ephemerate.
Ephemerate? Okay.
Yeah. Come on, Throne. That is not what I needed. I think it's okay though. I think I can do this. Because now I have enough toughness to block Goliath Beetle. And I get the Monarch back, so I'm drawing more cards again. And you know I hit a Stonehorn, so I really just need to hit an Ephemerate. Come on, big money, no whammies. One time. That's fine. That's fair.
Yeah, that's all I got for that.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, still fine.
Okay. Play you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 11. Oh, back up to 12. Okay.
Could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I still have a second Late to Dinner to get the Archaeomancer back to start the loop again.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Interesting.
I don't remember this list. It's been a while since I've played the MTGO version. My paper list has 2 Late to Dinners in it, though.
So it definitely seems interesting.
Because
The
there's only
Argent
2
Elementalists and
Elementalists,
stuff.
and there's 2 Stonehorns.
Okay.
But I believe there are 2 Late for Dinners. There might just be 1, though, which would be a little awkward, because then both my Elementalists are dead. Okay, we're fine with that. hit
Yeah,
another
that was
grazer, no big deal.
Yeah, that was a bad hit. All right, let's just send in the dorks.
Send in the orcs.
Yep. The pirates and the rhino beetles.
Doop, 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 doop. All right, my MTGO is lagging a little bit, so I'm trying really hard not to like skip through the steps, and it's costing me a lot of time. But I have a bolt for the boarding party in case I accidentally skip a damage.
Okay. So 8 plus 7.
There shouldn't be a clean way of organizing this, which I like, but at least it'll die because I have exactly 15 power.
Yeah, the Goliath Paladin's got some big butt on it, that's for sure.
Yeah, great card. Now I protect both the initiative and the monarch. I have a Stonehorn in hand because I drew it last turn. So we protect it one more time. And then eventually I'll get enough to deal with this.
See, this is why I need that 1-0 fling.
Yeah, no kidding.
Launch the fling.
But it wouldn't help if I had prismatic strands. I just haven't gotten it in
True.
31 cards.
Is it a 4
Whoa.
prismatic strands or 1 or 2?
Huh?
Is it a
I have
4
4.
Okay. So quite a few.
Four prismatics, haven't hit one. Because that like quintuple block would have been great with a prismatic.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Running solo on time. There's a Stonehorn. You get no combat. Play another Goliath. Go back to the forge. Make another Goliath huge. Oh, that was the wrong one. That one. There we go.
Attack into the rhinos?
Hell no. Absolutely not.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, basically it's ephemerate loops with Elementalist Stonehorn Dignitary or Prismatic Strands loops with Elementalist and Ephemerate.
But do you have that
All of them
infinite?
get
Do
me
you
to
have
the
that
same
loop
place.
now though? With the, I guess you have other late to dinner though, right? For the elementalist to get
If
back.
I have the second late to dinner in this list, and I don't remember if I do.
Yeah, that's what I was like. So both elementalists are in the grave, so there's still a smidgen of a chance. 1, 2, 3. 4,
Yeah,
5,
you
6,
killed both
7, 8.
Elementalists, but if I have the second late to dinner, I should be fine. It's just a matter of whether or not I still do. I don't remember. But time is a problem here. I'm definitely going to lose on time.
3, 4, 6.
And that is a problem I run into with this in paper too. Is 1-0 victories with the round timer.
Yeah, which is kind of hard. Yeah, that's like these kind of decks are. I always feel like are clock eaters. They're hard to like.
They are.
With it.
Because I have too many responses and too many things I need to hold priority for, so I can never F6, which is annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool part is once I establish the loop, I don't actually have to kill you with combat. I just kill you with trap.
Yeah. Yeah, you just keep going through the underworld city. Yeah, that's cool.
And then at once I get low in cards, I just skip the archive one, so I don't draw.
Mm-hmm.
I just take archive through Throne of the Dead. But we should be okay now.
Did you find another
In
late
a
to dinner or
pretty good spot here, huh?
You find the other late to dinner or?
No, I have double prismatic in hand, so I have a
Oh.
lot of time. I'll just play one of these. And then pass.
This is quite a game one, that's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you're gonna win the match on time because there's no way I play another game like this. But this is an amazing deck to play. I have a lot of fun with this deck.
Well, has the Rhino Beetles at least shown at least
It's
a little
done
bit
more
of
than
their
I
playability?
expected it to, that's for sure. But I never got to establish the loop. If I drew a prismatic at any point in the first like half of my deck, I would have been fine.
Right.
Because then I would have been able to save the pyromancer from the breath weapons too. So nothing would have interrupted the combo, and then eventually I'll hit an ephemerate. Jesus, 25 cards left, no ephemerate.
Yeah, I definitely think I
Another
like
rhino beetle.
right.
Whatever will I do?
One ram through and like maybe one or two flings are probably necessary.
Well, so those will get you through Stonehorn, but they won't get you through Prismatic.
True, but I think at that point you just gotta go for it, you know?
Probably.
But it's something I've been tinkering with. I don't know, I just like this card a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a 15/15 for 5, that's for sure.
Well, I don't know. I like the idea of like cascading with boarding party into it. You know what I mean? Just being like, here's
Yeah, makes sense.
here's 22 power or 21 power or something like that for 6 mana.
Yeah, for sure. What's damage? We don't take damage here. We don't know them.
Have you ever worried about decking yourself though with this deck before you can get to
No.
kill in?
No. Eventually I overwhelm, and that's been plenty.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, turn off.
God, my MTGO lagging right now is really killing my clock.
Another Stonehorn. They found the other
Yeah,
Stonehorn.
there's the second Stonehorn. Yep, we sure did. And the other option is that I will grow this Inspiring Overseer to be absolutely enormous at some point.
Yeah, with the forge.
Yep.
That's why like I'm trying to debate if like I shouldn't put like one or two Avenging Hunters in this list because we do have like the Grazers
Absolutely.
and the Ints
that
and
card's
stuff.
too good.
Yeah, I've been like trying to debate that.
I do think initiative is still definitely an unfair mechanic in Pauper. I think that limiting it to green and white is an interesting balance idea. I just don't know if it's successful.
Right.
Okay.
I always like
Skullblade.
for my personal like the Monarch and the Initiate. I never like playing with it because like I never feel like I know like how to properly protect it. You know what I mean? At least for
Sure.
me. So like I always feel like I play it probably in like the worst times possible, and then it like backfires on me tremendously.
Man, MTGO is really hurting me today because this is bad.
I guess I only have 20 cards in the deck too. I didn't realize I was that low.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's deal with this.
Journey. Are you running a full 4 of journeys or just?
I have enough.
My poor rhinos. That's another thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Journey just deals with your 15-15 you spent the whole game building
Right.
for.
Yeah.
Dice to Doomblade.
Exactly.
There's the Ephemerate.
Yep. We have at least one. And we have a Prismatic Strands in the graveyard and one in hand. So we have like 5 more turns of free of no damage.
The problem is, like, I mean, I don't know if it's a problem for you, but I also have like a ton of ways to like gain life.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this game's just gonna like go to oblivion.
Eventually I'll have the ability to just swing into you and prismatic it so that I don't lose anything.
Yeah.
But it'll take a while for me to like mass that up. Another pulse. Okay. I can also stop the Pulse of Marasa, which is super interesting, but I haven't been.
How's that?
I have Dawnbringer Clerics in my main board. I've been holding it in hand the whole time, but I can Ephemerate Dawnbringer Cleric to kill your target, so you fizzle the pulse.
It is interesting. I didn't think about that. Let's grab you.
Another one, sure. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a timeout, but it's really, really fun deck to play for sure.
That's what I'm working on this Rhinos. I want, I mean, it's not going to be a tier deck or anything, but I want it at least to be like somewhat playable.
Sure. I mean, you're going to beat a deck that I think is one of the best decks in the format, but
is it really
I think
beating
that
if it's on a time? You know what I
I
mean?
think it's better in paper for sure. I could we could have finished this game a long time ago in paper. $36 life, huh?
Yeah. That's like the whole plan is like to ramp and use some cyclers to find your
My screen
land.
is still on the end of my turn. All right, now we're on your main phase.
Oh, that's weird.
I told it my MTGO is very laggy right now.
You know, the whole like plot is like to oh, I'm not gonna have enough mana to play both. Oh well. The whole like idea is like ramp at the beginning, gain life, and then just stabilize by playing your Ents and your Rhino Beetles, which is like what the main game plan here is. But I do think like one ram of one fleeing just to get there, it's probably not bad.
For sure.
I had a really cool deck that I've fallen in love with. A viewer of mine submitted. Moist Moose is his name. It's a Mirkwood Bats deck. And the deck is like legit, like no joke. Like it is a legit deck. And there's no way I could play it. I wanted to play it, but there's no way I could play it and even remotely keep a conversation because it's so
it's
math
too
intensive.
complicated.
Yeah. But he gets a paper card called Marut that we don't have on Magic Online. That is just like a insta kill card. That is like insane. It's an artifact. I think it's an 8 mana or something like that. But the whole thing is like every treasure you spend on it to cast it, it creates that many treasures when it enters. So if you have like one Mirkwood Bats or one Nindir's Nightblade,
wow, that's super interesting.
or Reckless Fireweaver onto the field, yeah, it just like it's like a big just boom. Here's like I don't know how many damage just every time you play it, and then it's a huge body on top of that.
That's super interesting. Marut, huh?
But yeah, but we don't have that on Magic
I think I've
Online.
seen that card. I feel like I've like looked at that card and been like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And then never looked at it again.
Yeah, I wish. So I've been playing he plays 2 copies of it in the paper, and I've been playing 2 Blood Aspirants instead as a MTGO version. Do you wish like they would get all the format legal cards on Magic Online, and like why do you think they haven't?
Honestly, I have no idea why they haven't. I have no idea why it took them so long to put the Baldur's Gate cards on here in the first place. I like that Daybreak gave 2 of everything to anybody who'd played a league recently, but I feel like that wasn't enough. Should have been 4. I don't know why it was limited to 2. What's the profit loss, really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're typing in a number.
The thing that's crazy to me is like if you import a list, like a paper list onto Magic Online, the cards show up in the Magic Online, so they're somewhere in here, but it's not been like released as a product, which is really strange. Like I don't know why it just isn't released.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. All right, we're running out of time. But I think we showcased the deck well. You can see what I'm going for here.
Yeah. And I like to think I showed my Beatles off a little bit.
Yeah, no, the Beatles are cool. I think I think if we were playing at a table, this would have
been a little bit
much different result.
There's the Dawnbringer.
Yeah, I figure I might as well just run it out at this point.
You want to destroy that Journey to Nowhere?
Nah.
Are you
I
sure?
want to just gain 2 life. And then I want to play this Cleansing Wildfire.
That's what I'm curious to see if you have that other late to dinner.
Me too. I'm digging for it, but I don't know if I'll get to see it before I draw out of. I'll be able to see in the deck building screen after this, though. So there's
Quite
the
a
other
stalemate,
Dawnbringer
though.
cleric.
We've had quite the stalemate. That's for
Oh
sure.
yeah. Well, I mean, this deck kind of just does that. It just like you'll run out of life gain before I run out of forge triggers. That's the idea, anyway.
Here, I'm not gonna let you time. Well, I guess we'll go to. I didn't real. I for some reason thought that was game 2.
Oh no.
Here,
I'm
not
gonna time. Draw a card. Okay. I had several prismatic strands in hand.
Okay.
All right. Let's look at my list. No, I only had 1 late to dinner, so I did not have the infinite.
So there could have been a potential.
Yeah, it would have been several turns in the future, but we would have had a really interesting. What would have ended up happening, interesting enough, is that when I ran out of ephemerates, I had 2 more for the Stonehorn dignitaries. You would have had to attack into me, into prismatic strand coverage, which gives me blockers to kill out your rhino beetles. So it would have been a really interesting dynamic if you had to attack with like just enough to make me cast a prismatic strands, but like not enough to lose your board so that I can't crack back.
Right. That's what I'm actually looking right now. I'm like, I should probably just, while I'm thinking about it, add in the ram throughs. And should you just do like ram throughs, or you think fling should be worth it?
I think ram through is better.
I think so too, because you don't lose
because
your
you don't lose the creature.
Yeah. Do
Even
like
with
just
Pulse
2 of ram throughs and just
just do the boggle strat. Just run ram through as a way to get through Stonehorns.
And I'll figure out what to trim later. Probably like 1 generous int and
I like generous
grazer.
int too much, actually. I would probably cut your duplicate cleansing wildfires, Geomancer's Gambits, or maybe like.
I guess I could trim out like the growth spirals because I have 4 of them. It's 4 great.
Maybe the growth spirals, yeah.
It's 24
I don't know. Growth
lands.
spirals are pretty good.
It's 24 lands, 4 grazers, 4 wildfires, 4 growth spirals, 4 breath weapons, 2 Geomancer's Gambits, 4 Pulse Marassa, 2 Lorien Revealed, 4 beetles, 4 boarding parties, 4 generous ints.
Yeah, it's probably growth spiral then.
I thought, I trimmed 2 of them out. I think because
if you cut growth spiral and Lorien Revealed, you could run Oliphant instead and just have green red, right?
I guess, yeah. Because in the sideboard it just
gives you a whole power spike.
Huh.
Because Oliphant beats hard.
Yeah. Because I could still keep some of the blue for Hydroblast on the side. if need be.
I don't think you need
I
it.
don't know.
Weather the Storm should be plenty against red if that's what you're worried about.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to tinker with it. I like the Timur, but yeah, it could just probably go into Gruul too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll have to tinker with it. But
Because that'll also give you access to Annoyed Altasaur if you want it.
that is true. You'd be going down the growth spirals
Which,
and Lorians, bring in.
for like Oliphants and Altasaurs, and then the only reason to not run like the Flings and the Ram Throughs is that if you cascade into them, they're horrible.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah, I'm still gonna tinker with it. I want to
Glaring
spend
pain in the sideboard for sure, though.
Yeah, I want to spend like some kind of time like figuring out this deck a little bit, spending some more time and like really tinkering with it for sure.
For sure.
But yeah, hey, I want to say thank you so much for doing this. It was awesome. Do you have any last like I guess words of wisdoms or stories that you'd want to share?
Not particularly any stories. I think we did a pretty good delving into my Magic history, but in general, just um, if you think Pauper is for you, it is. Um, the answer is that if you don't have a community in your area, you can build one. Like you can be that guy. And I don't think enough people think that they can. I think that if you introduce Pauper to your area, if you are consistent about it, if you genuinely love this format and you just show up and you play games with a couple of your friends that are also into it, other people will start joining. Bring a couple extra decks, talk to people about it, and build that format for yourself. And if you can't get to an LGS, then play it on MTGO. I mean, the format's huge on MTGO. Just acknowledge the fact that MTGO is a more competitive scene than paper. You have to be playing tier 1 decks to have a good time on MTGO. And you just kind of have to accept that if you're going to play on MTGO in general. But if you have an LGS nearby and you want to play Pauper, go play Pauper. Most people with the LGS will build a Pauper deck just to play with you. I mean, half of the LGSs in my area that I talk to about Pauper, I get them into Pauper before I ever try to get a Pauper tournament or a Pauper local night going. Because if they're into Pauper, they'll talk to people about Pauper. And then they'll tell people to come in on the night that you want to do Pauper, right? And so you can start to use the resource available to you. I mean, if you want to play it, play it. It's really that easy.
Do you which do you think is better then in terms of interaction, in terms of the fun of the game and stuff? Magic Online, Arena, or Paper?
If you want to stay monetized, let's not talk about Arena. In general, I think that if you want to have fun playing Magic, the intrapersonal aspect of playing with your friends is important. The community building, the actual interface with a person, the laughing, the having a good time, the jokes back and forth, talking and deck building and connecting with your local community around Pauper or around Magic in general is always going to build a stronger memory, a stronger attachment to Magic than playing on MTGO. I think that if you are strictly looking to grind games and you have a highly restrictive work schedule, or you can't get to an LGS because they're not near you, or they're too far away, or they're not open when you need to play, that kind of thing, that's what MTGO is for, right? But if you can go play Pauper in Paper, if you can go play it in LGS and you want to play Magic, go play it in LGS. It will be appreciated by the LGS. Find the guy who works at your LGS that does Magic and play with him if nobody else is there to play. They'll sit down and play with you just to keep you in the store. I mean, they want you to play there and you should play there. I mean, like TCC, the prop says it all the time, right? Support your local LGS, really. They're there to make gaming accessible for you. So use them. And
Right
most
on.
of them are happy to put Pauper on the calendar if you ask. Like, if you got people that will show up, if you got friends that want to play Pauper, talk to them, ask them to put it on the calendar, and they'll advertise it for you. That's how I started building my community, and it's honestly the easiest way to do it.
Right on. If somebody wants to follow you or something like that, where would they do that?
You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter. Any YouTube video of mine has a Discord join link. We have an entire brew section in the Discord. It's local and online, so there's always people to talk to. If you happen to be in the North California area in the Sacramento Valley, I host locals in the Sacramento area all the time. Find me on Facebook, find me on Twitter, find me on Instagram. It's all Salt and Pauper, all one word, and is spelled out. So.
Right on. Well, hey, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Keep up the awesome work with the videos you make. And it was great meeting you, and it was great playing too.
You too, man. I hope to talk about that Rhino Beetle deck. I have a few people in my area that would probably get a kick out of trying to build around it. So yeah,
Right
jump in the
on.
Discord, man, and post about it. We can get a combo going.
I'll have to. So thank you so much. And yeah. All right. I think it's.
All right, dude. Have a good one.
Cut that off. Hey, real quick before you go, if I could, could you message me on Discord or Twitter, all your links, so I can put all your links in the video description,
Yeah, no problem.
and then whatever you'd want in the thumbnail. So like, I'll have the thumbnail.
Just like a picture.
Yeah. Like if you want like a picture of you or like your logo or something, so I can get it in the thumbnail.
Yeah, no problem. Do you normally use pictures of people or pictures of logos? Because I have both.
I've done both, so it's really whichever you prefer.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I'll get that sent over on Twitter in just a second.
Okay, cool. And then as for that, this should be up. Calendar's on the other side door. This should probably be up Saturday, this coming Saturday. And when I get it up, I'll reach out to you and just let you know that it's up. So
yeah, for sure. Tag me on Twitter. I'll repost it. Do all the stuff.
Yeah, because I'm following you on Twitter, so
sweet.
I should be able to.
I'm pretty sure I'm following you.
I'm not sure. So I have two Twitters, and one is debunked, and that's the Mix/Twitter.
No, it's the one that you've been DMing me from. The
LR Smith. Yep. That's
pretty
my
sure
active one.
Yeah. Okay.
So okay, cool. Well then, yeah, I will. Like I said, I'll share it. Like Twitter, I'm just now like within like the past 2 weeks actually like actively using Twitter, because I've never liked Twitter very much, and then I started doing this series and I realized that like 85% of the people, the best way to get a hold of them to like ask to do this is through Twitter. So I was like, maybe I should start using Twitter more to network with. So
for sure. It's definitely the easiest one. If I give you a logo, is it easier in a vectored image? You want a transparency? What do you want?
Never been asked that. Probably be easier with probably either a vector or a PNG.
All right.
Probably be the easier thing.
And then I'll just get you a little headshot sent over of me as well, just so you can combine the two or overlay me or however you want to do it. You have free reign. I usually introduce myself with both anyway. Yeah. Most of my like video intros start off with me over the logo, so they're both good. I use my logo on all my socials though, so that's probably the most recognizable image.
I wanted to, I guess, maybe should have asked on screen, but when you use a green screen, like, how easy is that for? Like, do you use like one of the collapsible ones?
I have an Elgato one right below me here.
Oh, right on.
Right down here.
Yep.
It's just the.
Okay, because I've been thinking about getting something like that too. I thought it would be maybe like for like video use and stuff. It'd be kind of like a nice thing to have to play around with.
I really like it. It was cheap. It's only like $120. It's collapsible, so it just fits wherever I need it to fit. And then the only thing you really need to be aware of is that you need good lighting on it.
Yeah.
You need steady lighting. And so I actually just have a couple of like cheapy little like Amazon diffuser lamps that were like $15 for the pack. And as soon as I turn them on and backlight the screen, combine that with my headlight and my overhead light and everything, it's perfect. It's just a nice matte.
Right, like 95% of my lights for this room, because this room's small, is the window next to me, which is why like half my face is blown out. I just have, because I have like actual like soft boxes, like with diffusers, but they're like the full size I bought them to when we was making short films and stuff. So like
Sure.
they're just kind of obnoxious to set up. So I'm looking at getting some ring lights eventually or something. Something
Got it. Yeah, I have a
smaller,
ring
more
light
compact.
about over my face cam. But that's about it. Everything else I use are like soft diffuser lights.
Right. Do you just use OBS like to cut it out? Okay, so it's pretty consistent then.
I use Streamlabs OBS to record, and then I use Sony Movie Studio as a editing software.
Oh, right on. Cool. Well, man, thank you so much.
Because I am not good enough at Premiere yet.
I've used DaVinci Resolve. It's free.
I've heard it's good.
I love it. I've someone who came from Final Cut and Mac, moved over to build my own PC and moved to Resolve. Like, I'm all in on Resolve. And I like the idea if you want to actually purchase the full features, it's a one-time purchase rather than it being a monthly subscription like Premiere is.
For sure.
So, and the color suite and it is just brutally awesome. So, really like it. But hey, man, thank you so much for doing this, though. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciated it. I like the games. I'm always down to talk about Pauper.
Right on. So, it was great talking to you and meeting you. Hopefully, we'll talk again and play again at some point.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to that 1 year anniversary where you ask me how if I get disappointed about video performance when I have a frame of reference to answer that question.
Right? Yeah, congratulations on almost being 1 year too of consistency. So I know it's
Thanks.
it's a struggle.
It's been a lot of fun.
It's awesome.
It's been a lot more fun than Twitch. I'll commit to that answer for sure.
That's awesome.
Just because it feels like so much less pressure. I was really deep into the Twitch rabbit hole, so stepping away from that and stepping into YouTube and doing something much more relaxed pace, once a week from 40 hours a week is such a dynamic change. That I feel so much less pressure, and it makes me so much more inclined to keep going. So it's been fun.
Right on. That's what I've been doing the pretty much 7-day week grind because I've been streaming every day on YouTube Magic, but then on top of that, like I have another channel that I'm running that's like movie related and like other like videos related. So I've been pretty much putting a lot of hours in, but I love it. So it's been fun, and then get to do stuff like this too. So, but I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much. It was great meeting you, and hopefully we'll play again.
All right, yeah, for sure. Hit me up. I'm always down to play some games.
Hey, I just want to say thank you again to SaltandPauper for doing this interview for this player profile. I really appreciate it. He's such an awesome dude. He makes great content, so definitely check him out. All of his links will be in the description down below if you want to go follow him and check him out if you already don't know who he is, if you play Pauper, I feel like you probably know who SaltandPauper is, right? All my links are in the description down there as well. And again, sorry for the voice being the way it is for the intro and outro, but it is what it is. I will see you next time. Take care.